everyone, and welcome to Stephen Paul Interviews. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing a real live witch. I went ahead and ran an ad in Craigslist for any witch who might be willing to do an interview, and this lady was nice enough to respond. She's going to be doing a live remote interview. I got the monitor here in front of me. Unfortunately, she could not be here in person. So I'd like to welcome my very special guest, the witch Broomhilda. Well, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. I have to warn you though, I am not your usual stereotypical witch. Just a heads up. Well, I'm sure you will not disappoint me. I'm very excited to be talking to my very first witch. Well, we'll see how it goes. Just don't say which witch is which. I hate that. Will do, and once again, thank you for being with me. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with me. Broomhilda is a very common witch name, and I was wondering if you could tell me how your parents decided to come up with that name. Well, actually, before I was born, my parents knew I was going to be a girl, so they chose the name Tiffany. When I came out, they realized doesn't quite look like a Tiffany. I came out, the doctor screamed, the nurses fainted. My parents just stared at each other in disbelief, from what I've been told anyway. The very next day they made an appointment with the plastic surgeon. Plastic surgeon said, nope, I don't work on newborns. So it's kind of unfortunate that I ended up like this, and I'm just kind of the way I am. I see. I would actually have to agree with him on that one. Perhaps you have some inner attribute that might make you attractive to the average person or warlock. Thank you. I think. Can we move on? Of course we can. Another common aspect that witches have is that they have a black cat. So I'm wondering, do you actually have a black cat? Well, yes, I actually do have a cat. However, it's not black. Here is a picture of my cat. Well, it looks like at least you both belong together, if you know what I mean. Once again, thank you, I think. And once again, can we move on? I would like to address another stereotype about witches, and one is that they're over a cauldron and they're adding an eye of a newt and a toe of a frog. And I was wondering if you cook like that, if that's part of your normal diet, being a witch and all. Heavens, no, that's really gross. I actually like vegetables. I like tofu. I am a vegan. They say that vegetables and healthy eating is really good for your complexion. What do you think? Well, you know that saying your mom or dad probably told you when you were young, that if you don't have anything nice to say about anybody, you shouldn't say anything? Oh yes, I think everybody has heard that. Moving on. As a witch, do you derive a lot of pleasure in scaring people? Not really at all. As a matter of fact, I get scared very easily. That's a little ironic, and I think also a little embarrassing. Wouldn't you agree? Boo! Ah! What's the matter with you? So it seems you truly are not a typical witch. Well, I did mention that earlier. This is a question I really have to ask. Do you enjoy flying on a broom? It's really quite exhilarating. However, I haven't really flown a broom for quite some time now. And why is that? I got too many tickets for flying my broom too fast. I also got a couple tickets for reckless broom flying. So they did suspend my broom flying license. But I have to say, I sure miss flying this guy. He's a little worn, but man, this thing can go. Gotta tell you. Wow, that's really hard to believe. I didn't even know that was possible. So how do you get around now? I actually have to drive, and because I don't have a lot of money, I have to drive this car. Wow, that double sucks. You can't fly a broom and you have to ride around in that? Well, that car does kind of go along with your face and with your cat. Wow. That's not very nice. So as a professional witch, do you have a wizard for a boyfriend or a husband? No, I don't really have anybody special at all. I just have friends that I hang out with, and that's okay. Jerry, stop playing that so loud while I'm trying to do an interview. Sorry. Well, he actually doesn't play that badly. Yes, true, but I prefer the sound of an electric guitar with just a little bit of distortion. You know, something like a 1969 Gibson Les Paul ran through a stack of Marshall amps. Something like this. Wow, I'd have to agree with you there. Yeah. All right, we are getting close to the end. Another aspect of witchery is casting spells. Now you are pretty old, you look pretty old, so you must be pretty good casting spells. Well, honestly, I kind of flunked out of the spell casting classes in Witches College, so I didn't do very well. I can do a little bit here and there, but really doesn't work too well for me. One thing I am good at though is casting a fishing rod. I love to fish for salmon. One thing, if I can give you a little bit of advice, use the Silver Horde Coho Killer fishing spoon. I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than sitting out on a 30-foot fishing vessel hooked up to a 20-pound salmon, working and reeling that thing in. It's really quite exhilarating. Interesting. Just as a side note, here's a picture of me feeding a stray cat with a fish I caught. I see. So your hair is kind of pink today and it's brown in the picture. So which hair color is your true color? Just wondering. I really don't know what you mean. Can we move on again? So I have a witch question for you. If two witches buy two watches, which witch would watch which watch? What brand is the watch? That's not the point. It was kind of a joke. Hey, you know, a silly question deserves a silly answer. You got me there, gotta admit. I think that's all we have time for tonight. I want to thank my very special guest, Broomhilda, or Tiffany, for joining us. Thank you for having me. I'm not sure it's been a pleasure, but thank you. You're very welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. This is Tall Stephen Paul telling everybody, have a great night, and we'll see you at our next interview.